Hello, Internet, and welcome to my very delayed first review for Sword Art Online Alicization, episodes 11 and 12. I missed the first 10 episodes, sorry. You won't get to see my hot take on episode 10, which is a very complex feeling towards episode 10. So yeah, speaking of episode 10, when we last left off, Humbert and Rios tried to rape Ronnie and Tisei, or they succeeded maybe a little bit, in order to get back at Eugeo for beating Humbert in the duel, as I recall. But this led Eugeo, the fact they were able to get away with this caused him to kind of reject the Taboo Index, leading to him chopping off Humbert's arm, which is in direct violation of the Taboo Index and gave Rios the right to kill Eugeo, but Kirito stopped that and then killed Rios in return. But actually, I've read somewhere it wasn't actually Kirito's actions, but it was the inability of the Fluctlight to prioritize his own life over Humbert's life, and so as he was trying to both save his life and not cause Humbert to lose life, the contradiction made him explode or something. But whatever. The point is, both our boys are criminals, and they're hauled out by a newly named Alice Synthesis 30. That's where we leave off. If you want to know my more in-depth thoughts on episode 10, because I have a lot of thoughts about episode 10, and I'm kind of on the fence on whether or not I like it or not. I think it was necessary. I think it might have been able to be done better. But the basic idea of Eugeo needing to see the flaws in the Taboo Index is very important to his arc and to the arc as a whole. So I think in the end it was necessary. Maybe they could have found another way to do that besides, Kawahara's old crutch of raping his female characters. It could have worked better. But anyways, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about episode 11 and 12. But before that, just a reminder, I have my Winter 2019 anime review straw poll in the description down below. Please fill that out. Let me know what you want to see me review next season, even though I'm just getting started on the fall season shows right here. Whatever, I have issues. Anyway, moving on to the episode itself. We open right where we leave off with Kirito and Eugeo seeing Alice again for the first time in 7-8 years at this point. And the first scene is a good reintroduction to Alice, as she reacts to Eugeo's recognizing her, not with confusion or even an acknowledgement that he recognizes her, what are you doing, I don't know you, but simple violence. She just smacks his hand away and is like, if you try to touch me again, I will chop off your hand. I am permitted to take out 70% of your life. It's just a reminder that, she's an Integrity Knight now, and don't you forget it. She's fully brainwashed with whatever the hell is going on with the Integrity Knights. I'll touch more on that later on when we meet Eldry. But yeah, before that, as our heroes are being taken away by Alice, Ronnie and Tisei show up, and this scene is great for a number of reasons. It's both, a good way to see, Ronnie and Tisei are still kind of handling things in the aftermath of last week, or 2 weeks ago at this point. And also both of them show how much they're taking after their bosses, or masters, what's the proper term? I don't know. Tisei gives this heartfelt speech to Eugeo about how one day she'll become an Integrity Knight and rescue him, yada yada yada, and Ronnie gives Kirito some lunch. Yeah, she put a lot of emotion into it, so it worked. And I thought maybe there'd be some kind of key to escaping in there, but there wasn't, whatever. Though also, I am really intrigued by this kind of cyclical nature of Alice to Eugeo to Tisei, because you'll recall back in episode 1, Eugeo made a comment that he'd become an Integrity Knight and rescue Alice when Alice was taken away by the Integrity Knights in Rulid. And here, Tisei tells Eugeo that she'll become an Integrity Knight to rescue Eugeo. And it kind of makes you wonder what things are going to be like when they next meet. A part of me thinks Tisei is going to actually follow up on that promise and become an Integrity Knight and become someone that our heroes have to stop when she's lost her memories, or give her memories back, as we see as possible during the fight with Eldry. But yeah, I'm really kind of curious as to how Eugeo and Tisei's relationship. I hope that Tisei is not just dropped. Now that we've moved on from the academy, no more Tisei, don't worry about her, it'll all be fine. I hope we get to see more of her, and I hope she kind of develops in a way similar to Alice. Um, though we still don't really know much what's going on about Alice. Anyway, after they're taken away, we head back to the real world for a while. Um, and we've learned that Higa is working on some weird robot thing that at some point the artificial lights are going, an artificial light will pilot. I imagine is kind of the first step in Kikuoka's, military light plan. We still don't get a whole lot of details as to that, but I am kind of curious as to how exactly one of the artificial lights will react to being brought into the real world and seeing their entire world is false. And also who that light will be. At this point, I'm thinking it's probably going to be Quinella, who we meet in episode 12. We learn about in episode 12 as the administrator of the Pontifex of the Axiom Church. And honestly, given that, when she enters into the real world, she won't have the power that she has in the Underworld. I don't think she's going to react well to being outside of the Underworld. Or maybe she recognizes that and so will not go into the real world, and will stay in the Underworld and send one of her, minions off to do that, and then how that minion reacts, to learning their entire world is just created by some, middle-aged men in suits. I don't know. But before we head back to the Underworld, Asuna and Rinko are, headed through some corridor or something, and Asuna gets kind of the heebie-jeebies from this scientist guy, who I imagine is the same scientist Cardinal in episode 12 told Kirito introduced evil into the Underworld, and who I'm really, really, really hoping is not Sugo. A part of me is he might be Sugo. The fact that Asuna seems to recognize him implies that he might be a disguised Sugo. I really don't want him to be Sugo. Everyone knows, Sugo is the worst part of SAO, and bringing him back in, a main role, Let's let Sugo be dead and be done with it. He's not dead, he's in jail, but whatever. Anyway, we go back to the Underworld. Our heroes are in chains, yada yada yada, and I love the strategy to break the chains. Kirito realizes that they're both Class 38 objects, and while Yujeo frets they don't have anything strong enough to break a Class 38 object, Kirito's yeah, we do. We have the chains! And, it's weird. I don't think anyone in the right mind would ever think of it, but Kirito sure as hell would. Also, it's a firm reminder that the Underworld is, at its core, a video game. No real-life chains would shatter after pulling on them twice. Does make me wonder how exactly they're able to use the chains to fight later on, given that it seems like they wipe out all the life force of the chains when they break free. Maybe they don't fully break. Maybe it just they get the life force to a low enough number that it shatters without the entire chains being destroyed. I don't know, but they use the chains when they fight Eldry, and it's kind of weird. They just destroy the chains and then still use them to fight. It's probably as I just said, that they didn't actually fully destroy them, especially given that their first hit only did brought from 23,000 to 15,000, and so the second hit should only really bring it down to 7,000 or so. So it shouldn't really have been destroyed in 2 hits. So that's probably why. But anyway, after that they escape. And I forget exactly how. I think it's something they realize that the memories are being fucked with with the Integrity Knights. And so Yujeo realizes that maybe they can something reverse engineer that to bring Kirito's memories back. Which, of course, will be a problem if he ever finds out that Kirito has never lost his memories in the first place and has been lying to him this whole time. But we'll see what comes of that in the future. Before all that, we have a new enemy to fight. A disciple of Alice's named Eldry. Eldry Synthesis 31. And so this leads to my theory on Integrity Knight naming. First, they lose their names, lose their last name, and keep their first name, which we know is confirmed canon at this point once we find out Eldry's original last name is Eldry Wolfsburg or something. And then they gain synthesis and whatever number they are, which is all pretty much confirmed by the end of episode 12. But it does mean that somehow there were only 30 Integrity Knights when Alice joined, which, given that they're a 300 plus year organization, seems kind of not adding up. You know, even if they only get a new member every like 6 or 7 years, as it seems to be between Alice and Eldry's join time, that's still 210 years or so. And given that Quinella seems to have been creating her Axiom Church a bit longer than that. We don't get enough details on the timeline for me to actually piece that all together. So maybe it's possible they only get a new member every like 7 years or so, and Quinella's been administrating for only around 210 years, and so it all kind of checks out. But it still is kind of odd that Integrity Knights, there are only 30 of them. But that's where episode 11 ends. Moving right along to episode 12, we open up with the fight against Eldry. It's fluid, and honestly, I really like it. It's a really fun fight. It's fluid, it's exciting, you know, it's some good strategy from Kirito, some good reversals from Kirito, or some good reversals from Eldry, as Kirito is, like, put on the back foot of, like, actually, what the word I'm looking for. He's constantly surprised by Eldry's tricks. Also, it's kind of our first, we haven't really had a fight on this scale, besides that fight with the goblins in episode 4, of, like, really being, you know, on a human, like, sentient opponent who is genuinely trying to, like, kill or thwart or defeat violently our heroes. There's no, like, fun and games here, nothing like a duel, nothing like the duels we've had up to now, you know, not even on the same scale of Yujeo versus Humbert, at the beginning of the Humbert shit. You know what I mean? I was trying to thought there somewhere. But, you know, it's something that really SAO hasn't really done in the same vein since, like, Death Gun, and that was 4.5 years ago. Sure, we've been on hiatus for most of those 4 years, but, like, you know, the fight, I wouldn't quite put it on the same scale as anything like the Kako fight in Boruto yesterday, but it was still pretty damn good, I will say. We also learn a good bit about Integrity Knights during it. You know, we learned the Integrity Knights believe that they were summoned to the human realm. So when Yujeo questions, like, they can't have a fake past, because as soon as they went to the fake hometown, they learn the truth. Seems to be kind of overrun by this idea that they're just summoned to the human realm, and so they can't go to their fake hometown. But we know that's not true, because Yujeo remembers that Eldry, you know, was the champion of the Northern Garth North Sword Tournament, and the winner of the Four Empire Unification Tournament, and that's how he became an Integrity Knight. And that almost brings Eldry back until the Red Knight shows up, to put Eldry back into the role of Synthesis 31. But yeah, we do know that Integrity Knights believe they were summoned to the human realm from somewhere else, and we have a way to cure Alice from her evilness, just to remind her of her past without the mysterious Red Knight around to fix that right up. But once Red Knight shows up, Kirito and Yujeo are left on the run from the Red Knights because the Red Knight wants to destroy their limbs and stuff them back in jail. And as they're running away, something really weird happens if you've only seen the anime. That is, Kirito's hair, like a strand of his bangs, is like, yo, go right. I guess that's left on the screen. Go right. And it works. That's the right way. And if that seemed weird, it does make more sense if you read the books. The anime skipped over the Zakaria sword tournaments that kind of led to Kirito and Yujeo joining the academy. That happens to be where I'm at in the novels. And that part in the novels reveals that there's some kind of observer thing, observing Kirito and Yujeo's progress, that can turn really small and lives in Kirito's hair. And over the course of it starts to, like, take a liking to Kirito. So yeah, that I don't know what exactly is the case with that, because I'm not that far in the books yet. No spoilers if you are. But yeah, it's a thing. It'll make more sense later. I'm assuming it will. If I had not read the books, I'd be like, what the fuck was that? Because that would be the weirdest. Like you know, Kayaba's data ghost I can like vaguely understand. Magic hair is really weird. Even for, the underworld and all of its power of imagination stuff, it's just kind of weird. But anyway, the gang is rescued. The gang, there are two of them. Kirito and Yujeo are rescued by the personification of the cardinal system, which is helpfully named Cardinal. And after kind of talking to Yujeo and Kirito for a little while, introducing them to her massive library that goes all the way back to the time of the gods, she sends Yujeo to get washed up. He's kind of like cold and damp from a dip in the fountain during his fight with Eldry, and tells Kirito the truth. There actually are no gods in the underworld. Stacia and Vecna are propaganda of the Axiom Church, set up by the Pontifex, whose name we learn is Quinella, to like cement her rule. And Quinella covers the rest of the episode, and I have a lot of thoughts about Quinella. So first off, Cardinal mentions that the Pontifex, before we learn her name is Quinella, that Quinella is the only one besides Cardinal able to contact the outside world. Or might have been the only Quinella, no, it's the only Quinella can, I think. And I'm really curious as to how. Even with all her power, still at her core, she's just an artificial Fluctlight. Maybe after she combined with the Cardinal system, that did something. We leave off with her combining with the Cardinal system, and we don't quite know. We don't get the details on what's up with that. But it still seems like Cardinal is just completely separated from Quinella at this point. So I still don't really know what's going on with that. But that's what 2 weeks from now, we are off next week. We're off till the new year. But what episode 13 will hopefully put into more detail. But yeah, throughout all of this, we learned that Quinella was like the first person to really study system commands, the sacred arts, and learned that each word has a definite meaning, which of course we all knew because we're all English speakers and the sacred arts are in English. But because of this, she's able to use them with a kind of fluency that other people aren't. And she also learns she can like boost her strength by hunting animals. And she does this and becomes really strong and then starts healing people and becomes like this priestess and founds the church. And then she starts setting up some laws in order to like cement her rule. And I really love the idea that the Taboo Index laws are there for the sole purpose of keeping Quinella in power. No one can hunt because hunting is how she reached her strength. And no one can murder because murdering would do the same thing. It's not some sense of morality like Kikuoka thinks it is. Oh, I'm thinking of something right now. Okay. So Kikuoka. Oh, things aren't as bad for Kikuoka as he thinks. Because the only reason they follow the Taboo Index is because I don't know why. We don't know why yet. We don't know what exactly it is about the artificial Fluctlights that make the Taboo Index so central to them. It's not fear, because no one even breaks the Taboo Index for them to have fear of it. Oh shit, I don't know. But my point is that it's not that they're like deeply good. There's nothing stopping them from being amoral. There's something stopping them from breaking laws. So if Kikuoka can make a Fluctlight that sees particular nationalities or something as evil, that would... Kikuoka's evil schemes are closer to fruition than he thinks. This is what I'm trying to get at. But yeah. Anyway, on to the flashback as a whole. There's a lot to process. So essentially, everything circles back to Quinella. Quinella is behind everything, and presumably the smiling scientist from the Asuna scene, who is probably the fourth researcher who brought evil to the underworld. But in her attempt to eclipse the cardinal system, she ended up giving it a human form, which I imagine is very counter to her desires, given that Cardinal is now seemingly working against her. But it does still leave a lot of unanswered questions, as to still the Integrity Knights. There's still a lot of questions around the Integrity Knights. And to what exactly Quinella is up to now. Is she just trying to preserve the status quo? How will that tie into Kikuoka's scheming? I don't know. But it's a start to answering everything there is to know about the Underworld. And I don't know when we're gonna learn everything, but it'll come, I imagine. So yeah, that's really my thoughts on these two episodes. There was a lot going on, you know? They certainly weren't as intense as episode 10. I don't think anything's gonna match the intensity of the rape scene. You know, it was a it was a crazy scene. But they did raise and answer a lot of questions. We got hints on what exactly is up with the Integrity Knights. We know that they're regular Fucklights that were kind of brainwashed somehow, maybe with that crystal popping out of Eldrie's head midway through the episode. They were still left with a lot of questions. You know, what exactly happens to make them that way? And it seemed like in Eldrie's case, it's like powerful fighters that become Integrity Knights. Why was Alice made an Integrity Knight instead of being executed? It certainly wasn't Kikuoka noticing what happened with her that did that. I don't know what it was. We don't know. We'll find out eventually, I imagine. We also know more about how things kicked off with this mysterious evil researcher, which is kind of vague. But we do have Quinella as a kind of personification of everything that's kind of wrong with the Underworld at the moment. Even if this episode and her intro back at the end of episode 1, I think, makes me a tad concerned that she developed an aversion to clothing along with her immortality. But you know, in the end, there was a lot here, and it looks like there may be more to come. So next time, we have even more flashbacks. And that's, or more flashbacks, question mark, I don't know. You know, SAO does not exactly give us a whole lot to work with this next time previews. It's called, let me see if I can find what it's called. I cannot find what it's called. I see the title on here, but the subtitles aren't popping up, so I don't know. It's like Razor and something? I don't know. But yeah, SAO does not really give me a lot to work with its next time previews. It's just the episode title. So yeah, I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you all enjoyed the episode and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe or do whatever the fuck you want. Besides, fill out that straw poll. That's a mandatory thing. You got to do that. And as always, people, keep kicking ass, and I'll see you in the future. Merry Christmas.